If you are someone who is struggling to get beat sales, hopefully these 3 tips I'm going to give you in this video is going to help you get a better understanding of your beat store and how you can start converting more artists, more visitors to your website into beat sales. I've done a lot of these videos on the channel, so I'm hoping to go at a slightly different angle when it comes to these tips that I give you, in the hope that it gets you more recurring beat sales, or maybe even that first beat sale. So make sure you stick around till the end of this video, because all 3 of these tips are hopefully, fingers crossed, going to be super helpful for you and your beat selling. Because take it from me, these are tips I always have to come back to and remind myself of when things are not going as well as it should do on the beat selling. If I feel like I could be making more beat sales than normal, or I'm feeling some aspects of my beat selling are starting to stagnate, I will come back to these points to reassess my beat selling, change things up, and eventually get more beat sales as a result. And just before we do get into the video, by the way, guys, if you're not already, make sure you smash the subscribe button, as it's the best way to support the channel. I'm at a goal at trying to get 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I can't do it without your help. So again, if you're not subscribed, make sure you do, because there is weekly content like this coming out, and if it's of interest to you, that is the reason to smash the subscribe button. So the first thing that you might be doing wrong is you do not actually have a beat selling strategy. Now, I'm not trying to stereotype, but I feel for a lot of people on here who don't necessarily understand the whole marketing or e-commerce side of beat selling, you probably make a beat, you probably then upload it onto BeatStars Marketplace, maybe onto YouTube type channel as well, and you hope that something sticks, something pops off eventually, but realistically, it's just not going to work like that. Now, for your beat selling, you can apply either a basic strategy, a long-term strategy, or something that you think is going to get you results in the short term, which would probably require a lot more work. It's completely up to you. But I feel like the best example I can give is my strategy for the past couple of years when it comes to selling beats. This has allowed me to optimize my beat selling in the best way possible to get more traffic to my beat store and get more sales as a result. Now, my strategy has always been about the not trying to actually get a beat sale, but to try and start building a loyal connection with people that visit my beat store. Fundamentally, it's not just about getting transactional sales. For me, it was about seeing people come to my beat store and have an interest in my beats so much that they even just download for free and start writing over and start taking a vested interest again in what I have to offer. In doing so, what that means is you start to build a loyal following, people who are going to listen to your beats every time they upload, people who are going to download your beat for free, even just to write over without purchasing. And then eventually, once you start to build that loyal connection enough, then people start to trust you enough to actually purchase your beats and release them on all major streaming platforms. Now, this is a connection I try to build with artists, not only on my website or my YouTube type channel in generic ways. I'm always on Instagram, TikTok nowadays, posting content, because I always find that trying to build a connection with artists is the best way to build that trust, which makes artists want to go visit your stuff a lot more. Now, obviously, when it comes to doing social media content, you really need to make it in a way which is going to target artists, which is a whole other video in itself, but showcasing what you can do as a beat maker in any sort of content, you can't go wrong. But again, about the strategy, is almost like building a little community of artists who have a vested interest in my beat. Now, when they have your interest, obviously you can do things like start an email marketing list so you can reach out to the artist, so you can share when new beats drop. You can always have your DMs and your email open and always encouraging people to message you. Because when I started selling beats, I didn't want it to be some sort of e-commerce experience where you just sit back and just expect beat sales to happen. I've never really been like that. I wanted to start a beat store where it almost feels like it's not transactional, but it's a collaboration. And how I can make it feel a collaboration to artists is to leave my DMs open, to encourage talk, and just to be there to communicate with artists, either on your beat store or just on external social media sites. Because I always feel as an artist, they appreciate that a lot more, because they actually feel like they're working with someone on the project. Even if they're buying a beat off you, it to them still feels like they're collaborating with a producer and it's a real person and they're not dealing with a robot. And once I had that part of the strategy down, the easier parts is all about how you're actually driving traffic to your beat store, trying to piece it together and try and figure out what that journey is for the artist, from discovering your beat to the beat store to the transactional part of it, which basically is just upload my beats anywhere and everywhere. And then the whole point is trying to get website traffic. Nothing fancy, no secret tips, just uploading onto YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, onto my website, email marketing, and SoundCloud as well, by the way. All these things together help drive enough traffic to my beat store to get the people there. And then when they're on the beat store, that's when you can either encourage stuff like the free downloads to capture emails, or encourage artists to message if they have any questions. And then once you've got artists in that one-on-one conversation, that's when you can start to talk to them, build a relationship with them, and then long-term, hopefully they will come back again and again and become repeat buyers. If you don't take my word for it, in the past month alone, I have made over $1,000 in just repeat sales alone, building a good relationship with artists who keep coming back to me. And this applies really nicely into tip number 2 that you might be doing wrong, and that is you do not know what your target audience is. Now, this is really important in any line of business. If you don't know what your avatar is, as some businesses will say when it comes to marketing, if you don't know who your target customer is, you are basically taking a shot in the dark every time you upload a beat. Making type beats and just assuming they're going to get put in front of the right audience is never enough. It's fundamentally important to know who your target customer is, because when you know that, it's going to affect stuff like the price of your licenses, whether you're going to try and get non-exclusive or exclusive sales, and of course what type of beats you're actually going to make in the most niche way possible. Now, for example, again, for my business, I focus now in 2024 on exclusive beat sales. I'm at a stage now where my beat catalog is over 500 beats, and because I operate in the pop side of the beat selling industry, the behavior of a lot of artists in this sector is they want to exclusively own beats. Now, I can't speak for the hip hop industry or anything to do with rap, but the impression I've got, it is not such a big deal if there's 2 rappers over the same beat, especially when it comes to like releasing on SoundCloud and stuff, because you get freestyling over beats and stuff like that. But when it comes to pop, there's a lot more of a sentimental attachment to beats, or it's a lot more important to pop artists rather to be able to have their own instrumental and no one else using it. So after considering that, for the whole of 2023, I decided in 2024 that I was just going to focus on exclusive beat sales. The justification being I make beats every single day, and I'm happy to part with beats because, again, you still get a 50-50 split on beats, and I just want to collaborate as much as possible, and I felt that selling beats exclusively is the best way to go. So when artists message me, I'm always taking note of the sort of person that is messaging me, and me personally, the thing I found is lots of people who message me, they're unsigned, they don't have the biggest budget, and for a couple years of negotiating with them, I finally found a threshold of justifying what is the right price to sell beats to people exclusively, and it's made me a lot better at negotiating because I know exactly how low I'm willing to go on certain beats and how high I could probably go depending on the artist's needs for rights. It also has affected the way that I actually negotiate when it comes to trying to upsell artists as well, as I find a lot of the time that including certain bulk deals or doing discounts off any second beat really helps. It's basic e-commerce, but again, because I've been operating from the same target market now for the past year, I've started to learn the best ways to approach these sorts of negotiations and what the right thing to say at the right time is to upsell artists, but also make sure at the same time they're getting a good deal. Because the thing I'm most proud about for my beat store is it's making it affordable for artists to release music on all major streaming platforms without having to go to studios and spend a lot of money on that. And I stand by that, so I'm always trying to give artists a good deal where I can. And then the last point, which really ties into these first two, and that is you're not giving artists a reason to come back to your beat store. Now, most people do not ever purchase a beat after the first time listening to it. If anything, they probably need to listen to it about 4 or 5 times at least before they even consider buying a license. And you need to keep that in the back of your mind when it comes to trying to sell beats. This is why it's so important, as I say, to build a relationship with customers nowadays. Do not go to e-commerce about this. Don't just assume you can leave beats sitting there and they're going to sell by themselves. It's really important to try and get people coming back to your beat store, not just going for the sell straight away at the same time. Now, the best way to get people coming back to your beat store is to first incentivize them that first time, obviously, because you need to get them there, but then incentivize them in a way which gives them a reason to come back again. Now, the best way to do that is, in fact, trying to push the free downloads for non-profit use or with a tag. The reason this is because you give the artist a chance to explore the website, find some beats they like, then they can go away and write over it. In the meantime, because they've downloaded that beat and you've got an email capture, you can now incentivize them with bulk deals, discounts, and get them to come back again and again. It's the same on YouTube as well. Yes, we can obviously say that you can purchase beats, but the one thing I really push on my YouTube type B channels is the fact that these beats can be downloaded free for non-profit use, and I emphasize that, as well as the subscribe button. These are the 2 things on YouTube which are really good for getting people to come back to your store again. And when it comes to other social media sites like Instagram and TikTok, on them sites you're really trying to get the impression across that you are a real person. Now, I do a lot of TikTok lives. This is where I've started to build a relationship with artists. I actually make my beats now live on TikTok live so artists can see them get made. and then every day I'm encouraging them to go and check out the beats afterwards and download them for free. I never once say in any of my TikTok lives that you can purchase this beat, because I don't want to do that straight away. I really want to incentivize them with something that makes them feel like they're getting a really good deal. So I always say you can download this beat free for non-profit use to write over. Because then I guess the artists excited that think, oh, maybe I could write something over this. And then down the line, more often than not, artists come back to me with something they've written over. And then that's when they ask the next question, I want to release this, how can we make this happen? And then that's when I start pointing them in that direction of purchasing a license. But because I built that reputation, I'm always willing to give them a slight discount to add even more value onto the experience that they're having. Really trying to help out the artists as much as possible, and doing it this way has allowed me to get a lot more repeat business as well as just sales in general. And at the very least, I get a lot of artists who actually come back to my daily TikTok lives and watch them over and over and over again. So they're always there for me to share more beats to them that they could download. So they keep coming back to my store again and again. And once you start to clock which artists like your TikTok lives, make sure you do the things like follow them, engage with all their posts and stuff. Always remind them that you're there and support them, because not only will they really appreciate that, but then that loyalty to them will give them more incentivization to come back to your beat store and want to collab with you more, which in turn gets more sales. Doing all this has allowed me to get a lot more beat sales and, more importantly, a lot more repeat business, which in turn has meant I continue to have good months when it comes to selling beats compared to this time last year when I wasn't necessarily implementing these strategies. But yeah, guys, I hope this video was helpful, and if it was, again, smash the subscribe button as it's the best way to support the channel. Keep making music, and I'll see you in the next video.